million living veterans. On Veterans Day, we honor their solemn pledge to defend our freedom. We thank them for their example of service and sacrifice, and we pledge to uphold their legacy by recognizing their work and securing the blessings of liberty. Now, would you please stand for the national anthem and remain standing until we close to the closing of our program.
Good morning. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. So good morning and welcome to Schmucker Middle School. And I first want to say a few words. First of all, thank you to for everyone that is here today, students, families, our veterans, and especially grateful for the service that you have put towards the sacrifice that you've made for our country. So I'm greatly humbled by your presence and thankful for being here today. We're so excited to show our respect. This school show our respect for our veterans through our program today. This is something we've been doing for a number of years, and every year it's just it's one of my favorite things to be a part of here at Schmucker Middle School. And I'm sure it'll be a memorable experience for all today. I want to say a few thank yous before we get started to our band, orchestra, and choir staff that put a ton of work into preparing the kids for the performances. Thank you to Mr. Kistler and Mrs. Marsh for helping get prepared for today as well, and for all the teachers that were involved in getting this program put together. So at this time, it is my pleasure to introduce our superintendent, Dr. Jerry Thacker, who will share a few words about our guest speaker this morning. Dr. Thacker is a great ambassador for the students and parents of our school community and is a regular attendee at our program. And we're very grateful for his continued support. of our program and our school. In 2014, he was a recipient of the Sigmore of the Wabash Award, which recognizes leaders who have rendered distinguished service to our state. He was also named an Outstanding Educator in 2013 and Indiana Superintendent of the Year in 2012. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Decker.
Good morning, students, faculty, staff, parents, and special guests. It's truly an honor for me to welcome you on this special occasion. I am so pleased that Schmucker Middle School has this program to pay tribute to the men and women who have served in the armed forces. Over the years, I've had the privilege of participating in many Veterans Day programs, and I've had the pleasure of meeting and honoring some of these outstanding veterans. So this is a special day as we pay tribute to a special group. The United States is the greatest nation in the world. We're a nation of innovation, creativity, democracy, and freedom. Everything that we have in this great nation is protected by our military. We owe a huge debt of gratitude to the men and women who have served in the military so that we can enjoy a high standard of living, quality of life, and freedom that we should never take for granted. I'm truly honored to be participating in this Appreciation Day. I'm especially pleased and honored to be in the company of these soldiers and these veterans. So to all of you veterans, thank you for your service. Thank you for protecting our rights and freedom and making it possible for these young men and women to attend our schools every single day, knowing that our nation is safe. Veterans, I salute you for your service, and I thank you for your dedication to the United States of America. God bless you. Now it is my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Richard Cardoza, retired U.S. Army Chief Warrant Officer. Mr. Cardoza joined the Army in September of 1978 and served our country for 20 years, retiring in October of 1998. During his service, he received many awards and decorations, including the Meritorious Service Medal, the National Defense Medal, the Army Achievement Medal, and is a 4-time recipient of the Good Conduct Medal. And in addition to those, decorations and awards include, he's an expert infantryman and received a badge for that. He's a combat infantryman badge, a master parachutist set of wings, Army aviation wings, Egyptian parachutist wings, Jordanian parachutist wings, and he's a jungle expert. So during Mr. Cardoza's years of service, he served as a military occupational specialist in several roles, including parachute infantry squad leader, Special Forces light weapons expert, Special Forces senior medical sergeant, Cobra attack helicopter pilot, and Warrior reconnaissance pilot. Please join me in welcoming U.S. Army Chief Warrant Officer Richard Cardoza.
When you get asked to speak before a group of people, several things go through your mind. And what I'd like to share with you, most important, hey, can you hear me back there? Can you hear me? Just making sure. Okay. Prepared speeches is not what I'm good at. I'm good at shooting from the hip and shooting from the heart. So I would first like to tell you how privileged I feel to be here today. I stand here before the greatest generation, the men and women who served our country during World War II, during Korea, Vietnam, and then current day wars that unfortunately we are still participating in. I don't take what I've done lightly, and I don't take this moment lightly at all. Because here's the truth that I want all of you to understand, and everyone here will understand very greatly. Speaking before men and women in uniform is one thing, but speaking to the possible future men and women of our military is something altogether different. And I want you to know that I am humbled to be here. Some of you are going to have your hearts racing just a little bit faster than ordinarily, because somewhere down inside of you, you're wondering, could I do that? Could I serve my country in that capacity? And the answer is absolutely, you most certainly can. I didn't mean to join the Army for 20 years, ladies and gentlemen, I really didn't. My intention was to join right out of high school. Join the service, put 3 years in, and be able to tell an employer that I had proudly served my country and I would like to be their employee. Back in that time, that's really all you needed. And it's become much more competitive today. So now it almost seems that if you don't have a master's degree, you blend into a group that no one can really identify with you or distinguish you differently. Veterans are an exception to that rule. I promise you, I am not an extraordinary man, but I have been privileged to work with some extraordinary men and women. I'm an ordinary person who volunteered to do something that, quite obviously, could be extraordinary in nature. I joined during peacetime. Vietnam was just over with, and I wanted to be like my big brother who served in Vietnam. He served for a little over 2.5 years. We almost lost him. And when I joined the service, I told my recruiter that I wanted to do what my big brother did. I wanted to join the infantry, and I wanted to go to jungle school in Panama, so that's the very first place I went. When my 3 years was up, I was not expecting to stay in, but something really miraculous happened. I suddenly realized this was a system that I could work with, that I could enjoy, and that I could become something bigger than what I was. I'm just an ordinary person. But when you walk through those doors for the first time, and guys, you get your head shaved first, but you know what? They tell you you can be whatever you want to be, and that is a fact. Veterans today occupy all the most important jobs that exist in the civilian population. There are police officers that make sure that nobody is going to hurt you when you are here. I hope you take a moment to say hello, or if you know them by their first name, I hope you say hi to them when you walk through the halls. I don't know if you really think about this, but some of these police officers, fire, EMS, they once wore the uniform that I'm wearing. And by the way, this is a retired uniform. This uniform no longer exists in the military. It was retired 2 years ago, but it stood proud for 61 years before the Army Blues uniform, or the Army service uniform, took over. The things that I wear, they're a tribute to my willingness to learn and to never quit, ever. Special Forces are Green Berets. You've probably known that. We are not SEALs. We are not pararescue. We are not Rangers. We are a very special breed of men, and now, ladies, of women, if you've got what it takes to join our ranks. It's a different time, in a different country, but the people are all the same. We value our freedom, and we give thanks to those who've been willing to protect that. I am now a member of the protected, and I cannot tell you how grateful I am every single day for my freedom, because I have fought for it, and it's no fun. When you see a veteran, for example, some of the veterans that you see here today, when you see somebody like that, I'm asking you to please go a little bit out of your way and just shake their hand. If you see a veteran that identifies as having a Vietnam hat on their head, don't just say thank you. I want you to say welcome home, because they didn't get that kind of welcome. And I will go out of my way to do that, and I hope you will too. As a veteran, there are employers out there that would love to have you on board, because a veteran brings discipline. A veteran brings determination, initiative. They are what so many employers out there would like to have working with them and for them. By a show of hands, student body, by a show of hands, are any of you even remotely thinking, I'd like to do something like that myself? A lot of you. That is awesome. That is amazing. Please put your hands down. I want you to know that you can. You most certainly can. Never quit. Do whatever it takes. I don't care what anyone has ever told you before, because that doesn't matter. When you walk through those doors for the first time, your past is hung up on a hook. You put that uniform on, and you are whatever you decide you're going to be after that. The system is there for you to work. The system is there to give you experience. It will teach you some of the most valuable lessons of life that you will ever learn. And I promise you, it will change your life forever. That's a lot of fun, I gotta tell you. Those landings are a little bit rough, but you know what? Jumping out of an airplane like that, that's pretty cool. You're doing a little more than 130 miles an hour when you walk out. Try to imagine this. Now, don't do it because I wouldn't want you to get in trouble with the police. Try to imagine going down the highway. You're driving 65 miles an hour. You just finished your Coca-Cola. You roll down your window and you go like this. That's what it feels like when you're going out of an airplane like that. Jump masters telling them, stand up, hook up, check equipment, sound off for equipment check, stand by, and then you get that vigorous go, and out that door you go. In the daytime, in the nighttime, with equipment, without equipment. When I jumped out of an airplane, folks, I weighed over 350 pounds. That's a lot of equipment hanging off of it. I'm going to say something to you here today that is not classified, I promise. Nobody's going to get into any trouble for hearing this. It was declassified not that long ago. I was a part of an A-team. And on my A-team, we had a very specific mission should the National Command Authority ask us to perform it. That mission was to insert deep behind enemy lines and in place a nuclear device of low yield to take out a tactical target. We're talking about big bridges here, folks. I am one of very few people ever who have been in a parachute, but on top of that, I am in that micro percentage of people that can tell you, I jumped a nuclear bomb pretty wild. I want you to please remember that being a veteran is an exciting thing. You'll never feel better than anybody else, but you will walk tall. And when you identify with another veteran, you will know something. You are part of a brotherhood, of a sisterhood, and it will never leave you. I wanted to thank everyone here. I especially wanted to thank the staff for inviting me to speak here with you today. I can't think of anything better or anything that I would rather have been doing than speaking with you today. And I hope I get invited, not to speak, somebody else's turn, but I would love to be among those that are sitting here today. They're taking a moment to come here and be honored by all of you, as I am. Students, I wish you the very best of future. Please, think hard about what it is in life that you want. Because once you figure out why, the how-to is no big deal. But you have to have a reason to pursue what it is in life you want to be. Make that happen. Be everything that you believe you can be, and believe your parents when they tell you you really and truly are the best, because you are, each and every one of you. I thank you very much for inviting me here today. I am honored. And students, I salute you.
On the 28th of June 1914, the Archduke of Austria-Hungary was assassinated in Sarajevo. This act forced world powers to decide where their allegiance should be. Either they would be supportive of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy, or support Britain, France, and Russia. For 20 years, the nations of Europe have been making alliances. It was thought that the alliances would promote peace. Each country would be protected by another in case of war, making it foolish for one country to wage war on any other country. The danger of these alliances was that an argument between two countries could draw other nations into a fight.
World War I, lasting 4 years, was supposed to be the war to end all wars. Nearly 10 million troops lost their lives. This war brought about the downfall of Western Europe as a center of world power. A void was created, allowing a German dictator, Adolf Hitler, to invade Poland and develop a powerful war machine. Germany and Italy formed an alliance in 1940. Then on December 7, 1941, a day that will live in infamy, Japan brought the United States into World War II conflict. Again, the world had to choose what side issues they would back. After defeating Germany, Italy, and Japan, there was an uneasy peace as a war-weary world began to rebuild. World War II had ushered in the Cold War between the United States and her allies and the Soviet Union and her allies, which literally shaped the lives of people living everywhere in the world. North Korea became communistic and gave their allegiance to the Soviet Union, forcing their beliefs on South Korea. North Korea entered war at the 30th parallel in 1950. This war lasted 38 months. The United States had again entered a war to allow another to have freedom.
Veterans, what do we think of when we hear that word? Veterans are people who have sacrificed parts of their lives just to make sure that we are free, that we are safe. Every day we take advantage of our soldiers and our veterans. We normally don't take time to acknowledge those overseas and the retired in our own community, or even those in our own family. We don't realize how much we need them and how hard they work to protect this country, to protect you. We don't realize how much they gave up to protect you and me.
We also don't realize the impact we make on veterans. Just simply saying thank you to a veteran at a grocery store, or making a card saying thank you, and giving it to a veteran. We don't even realize that small acts of kindness can make someone's day. Yes, sometimes we get a little sidetracked. We go by and do the same things every day, and we forget to do the small acts of kindness to a veteran, or we are too shy to go up to a veteran. But think of the outcome. You didn't have to go big and beyond trying to honor the veteran, which is completely fine if you do something like that. But just a simple thank you can change a person's day. It can change a person's week, month, or year. Even their life can change with just a few words. That's all it takes. Think of the outcome. Is it worth it? Well, I believe it is, and I think everyone here, guest, veteran, teacher, student, you name it, will believe it too.
To read a poem I wrote. It's called Dormo. A wisp of fear, an oddball chance, a single shot, a single glance. Heart of courage, soul of gold. When you get there, their eyes are stone cold. The ground it shakes, its explosive fire. Don't be discouraged. Just try, try, try. When you get back, the bus will wait, and now you're at the airport gate. You look at a picture where your family is shown, and you say, guys, we're going now. And this time, it will be for good. We've already lived like a superhero. Thank you for being here today and welcome. I just want to say that I'm thankful that you joined the service. Without you, our country would not be what it is today. What does Veterans Day mean to me? Veterans Day means that we celebrate those who served and those who died for our country. I had a family member in the Army. My grandfather served for 5 years in finances. He also happens to be here with us today. If you think about it, there is no other day than Veterans Day that is reserved for thanking those who served and those who died. Without you, we would not be here in this wonderful country we know today as the United States of America. Today is just to remember those who are and aren't here with us today. Thank you for placing yourself between us and danger. Thank you for sacrificing time with your families and missing those significant milestones the rest of us take for granted. This day means a lot for everyone. We are so lucky to have people like you here with us. You are heroes. You are our country's leaders. Again, I want to thank you again for coming and have a good Veterans Day. Thank you.
All I wanted to do was fly, leave this world and live sky. I let the C-130 out of Fort Worth town. I go up some days I don't want to come down. But when I fly that plane, call the angel flight. Come on, brother, you're with me tonight. Between heaven and earth, you're never alone. On the angel flight, come on, brother, I'm taking you home. I love my family and I love this land, but tonight this flight's for another. We do what we do 'cause we heard the call. Some gave a little, but he gave it all. I fly that plane, call the angel flight. Come on, brother, you're with me tonight. Between heaven and earth, you're never alone. On the angel flight, come on, brother, I'm taking you home. Come on, brother, I'm taking you home. Well, the park is quiet and the stars are bright. Feels kinda like church in here tonight. It don't matter where we touch down. On the angel flight, it's sacred ground. When I fly that plane, call the angel flight. Got a hero riding with us tonight. Between heaven and earth, you're never alone. On the angel flight, come on, brother, I'm taking you home. Come on, brother, I'm taking you home. Come on, brother, I'm taking you home. Come on, brother, I'm taking you home.
Today I'm honoring my grandpa Gary Babcock for his service in the National Guard. Thank you.
Today, I'm honoring my grandfather, Fred Bender III, for his service in the Navy.
tanks during the Vietnam War and cared for injured soldiers. Thank you.
I am honoring my grandpa, Glenn Dickerson, for his service in the Army during the Vietnam War. Thank you.
I'm honoring my grandfather, Glenn Dickerson, for his service in the Navy during the Vietnam War. Thank you.
I'm honoring my grandfather, Lee Fox, for his service in the Army from 1956 to 1962. Thank you.
I'm honoring my grandfather, Paul Fielder, for his service in the Vietnam War.
I'm honoring my grandpa Dennis Fox for his service in the Army. Thank you.
I'm honoring my grandfather, Joseph Ganser, for serving in the Korean conflict.
I'm honoring my grandpa Don Haywood for his service in the Marines in the Vietnam War. Thank you.
I am honoring Dale Houston for his service in Army Vietnam War. Thank you.
Today, I'm honoring my grandfathers Rex Jackson for his service in the Vietnam War and Dow Neely for his service in the National Guard. Thank you.
I am honoring my grandpa, Milo Jacobson, for his service in the Korean War. Thank you.
I'm honoring my uncle Alan Johnson for his service in the Army during Vietnam and my grandpa Jim Cavorn for his service in the Army during Vietnam. Thank you.
I am honoring my grandpa Cliff Johnson for his service in the Army. Thank you.
I am honoring my grandfather, Larry Collins, for his service in the Army, and he served in Vietnam. Thank you.
I am honoring my grandpa, Brian Keel, for his service in the Army. Thank you.
I am honoring my dad, Joseph Kovacs, for serving in the Army.
I am honoring my dad, Tyson Reed, for his service in the Army. Thank you.
I am honoring my uncle Ray Lehman for his service in the Navy. Thank you.
I am honoring John Miller for his service in the Army and the Vietnam War. Thank you. I am honoring my great uncle Tom Molnar for his service in the Vietnam War. Thank you.
I am honoring my grandpa Robert Shelley for his service in the Army during the Vietnam War. Thank you. I'm honoring my friend Arnold Sillings for his service in the Air Force. Thank you. I am honoring my great-grandfather Joseph Stackwitz for his service in the Navy during World War II. Thank you.
I am honoring my grandpa, Malcolm Tiller, for his service in the Vietnam War. I'm also honoring Jack Tiller for his service in the Marines. I am honoring my father, Larry Tracy, for his service in the Army from 1991 to 2004. Thank you. I am honoring my dad, Bill Vindy Graper, for his service in the Army from 1995 to 1999. I am honoring my grandpa, Ralph Villanucci, for his service in the Air Force.
I'm
honoring David Wallace for his service in Vietnam. Thank you.
I'm honoring my grandpa Paul Whitmer for his service in the Marines and our guest speaker, Richard Cardosa.
The bugle call, known as taps, was composed during the Civil War by a Union general, Daniel Butterfield. In July 1862, he recalled hearing a French bugle signal and hummed it to another soldier, who wrote down the music. General Butterfield then asked the brigade bugler, Oliver Norton, to play the notes, and after listening, lengthened and shortened them while keeping the original melody. General Butterfield ordered Norton to play his new call at the end of each day instead of the typical regulation call. The music was heard and appreciated by the other brigades, who asked for copies and adopted this as their bugle call. It was even adopted by Confederate buglers, who heard it when Union and Confederate troops were camped in close proximity to each other.
Taps was officially adopted by the Army in 1874. At the end of World War I, General John J. Pershing called an American soldier in to sound taps, thus signifying the armistice or agreement to stop fighting had been signed. Today, not many people realize that millions of men had died during the 4 years of fighting in World War I. The end of this conflict was tremendously important, and taps became associated with it. The first time taps was played at a military funeral may have been in Virginia, soon after General Butterfield composed it. Taps is used at every military burial and memorial service. It rolls down the curtains on a soldier's day and upon a soldier's life, said General Butterfield. These are the words to taps. Day is done, gone the sun, from the lakes, from the hills, from the sky. All is well, safely rest, God is nigh. Please stand for a moment of silence, followed by the playing of taps to honor our fallen soldiers.
In the late 1950s, the U.S. began to send troops to Vietnam. During the following 25-year period, the ensuing war would create some of the strongest tensions in United States history. Communism had become an evil menace in the States, and with the expansion of Soviet rule into Eastern Europe, Korea, and Cuba. The Americans were bent on stopping communism from spreading into South Vietnam. Almost 3 million U.S. men and women were sent thousands of miles to fight for what some considered a questionable cause. Freedom should never be questionable. In total, it is estimated over 2 million people on both sides were killed. 16 years later, the U.S. would again be called to duty to make a stand for freedom. Not since the Spanish-American War, and perhaps never in our history, has the United States waged such a relentlessly successful military campaign as the 42-day juggernaut that was the 1991 Persian Gulf War, better known as Desert Storm. Iraq was trying to invade the country of Kuwait, but the United States knows that freedom leads to all nations.
Presently, our country has waged war on terrorism. The outcome will be known at some future time in history. What we know now is that our military personnel are on alert and ready to serve their country as so many have done in the past. The courage and patriotism of all men and women who have served in the armed services of the United States are honored on a day Americans call Veterans Day. In 1919, following World War I, President Woodrow Wilson proclaimed November 11th as Armistice Day. We picked November 11th because the World War I peace treaty was signed on the 11th month, 11th day, and the 11th hour of 1918. Even with all the attention that this day received, it did not become a national holiday until 1938. Congress changed its name to Veterans Day in 1954. President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed the bill into law for this day to honor veterans, a day dedicated to war and peace. Observances are held throughout this country on this federal holiday to acknowledge United States heroism. In the words of Frederick Douglass, we are one and our cause is one. We must help each other if we are to succeed. Our gratitude goes out to all military personnel and their families. May God bless America.
We would like to invite our veterans and their guests to a luncheon in our seminar room, which is located just down the hall. We appreciate your service and commitment to our country and hope you have enjoyed the program. Students, please escort your veteran to the luncheon.